Welcome to the Ecommerce Marketing Podcast, the highly rated digital marketing podcast that provides weekly digital marketing tips and strategies from some of the world's top digital marketers and e-commerce entrepreneurs that will help you take your digital marketing to the next level. Sit back and enjoy this power-packed episode hosted by Arlen Robinson, who is an e-commerce entrepreneur and digital marketing expert with over 20 years of experience. Hey, e-commerce marketing podcast listener. Are you looking to increase traffic and sales to your website? You can do this by launching your own affiliate program. Just visit getosi.com and sign up for a free trial today. That's getosi.com. Now get ready to hear from your e-commerce marketing expert of the week as they drill down to give you details on marketing strategies that can help grow your business.
Welcome back to the Ecommerce Marketing Podcast, everyone. My name is Arlen and I am your host. And today we have a very special guest, Liam Patterson, who started his first business when he was just 14 years old. But since then, he has ran a number of successful e-commerce ventures before co-founding Bidnamic, which is a marketing technology platform that helps retailers unlock the full potential of Google Shopping. Welcome to the podcast, Liam.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you for joining me. Yeah, I'm really excited to talk to you because we're going to be talking about really, the main, I guess you can say, marketing channel, if you will, that you kind of deal with, which is Google Shopping. And I was mentioning that, really hadn't talked about that particular platform or marketing channel, if you will, before. So I think it's going to be super exciting to kind of get into it and see how businesses these days, e-commerce businesses specifically, can benefit from it and just kind of how it works. But before we do get into all of that, why don't you tell us a little bit more about your background and specifically how you got into what you're doing today?
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of, I suppose, an interesting story. So I've always been an entrepreneur, as you mentioned there, from a young age, and
Right.
particularly building and scaling e-commerce businesses. And we're actually scaling an e-commerce marketplace in the space of kind of print on demand. So we're working with thousands of artists, illustrators, graphic designers who are uploading their imagery, their artworks, and they were merchandising it over popular products like phone cases, t-shirts, mugs, and we were facilitating the go-to-market for them. So we were getting them exposure. We were connecting them through channels like Google Shopping, like Amazon, like eBay, and other paid search channels as well, Facebook ads, Instagram ads, to get them exposure for their products. And also then we had a really smart setup, which was all around print on demand distribution. So this is going back a few years now. So we were really the first to have localized print on demand, where we built a network of printers who could print and ship the next day. So as an illustrator, an artist, you didn't have to invest in stock, in products. You could instead upload your image, get a super realistic image of that product on a phone case, on a mug, or on a t-shirt with all the folds, and we'd do all the marketing. And we scaled that business up. We took investments from some pretty big names like Maren Mayer, the co-founder of Booking.com, Chris Forrest, who's on the board of Net-a-Porter, big e-commerce platforms. And it was actually them who kind of realized what we built in terms of dominating Google Shopping. So that was really where unhealthily a lot of our traffic and sales was coming from. It was very repeatable. We could get more artwork, get them onto products, merchandise, connect them with fans, with customers looking for the type of designs that they were selling, and do this at scale across the world in different countries. And it was really this expertise that we built up with Google Shopping and our own technology that they actually turned to us and said, hey, could you run this for some of our portfolio companies, some of our investments? And that was the first kind of pull, really. It was pulled by technology we built, kind of introduced for our investors to their network. And we were pretty anti doing it. We were like, we know e-commerce, we know all the hacks, it works for us, but we don't think it will scale. We don't think it will work for others. And then the first couple of clients we worked with, and it was like hockey stick, massive growth in revenue, great growth in profitability, and expansion on the channel. And then we realized, okay, we're really onto something. And that was about 4 or 5 years ago now. And we've scaled from there, being a small team and very technically focused, to being now over 100 with offices in Austin, Texas, as well as Leeds, England, hence my accent.
Gotcha. Well, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And that is an incredible story of kind of how you took something that, like you said, going from the print on demand, which is really huge now. It's a service that I've used. I've used various on demand printing companies before in the past, and I know it's really, big stuff. And so you guys were kind of early in that particular technology, which is a great thing. But I'm also really just curious, as I was mentioning in your intro, how you started your first business when you were 14. If you don't mind me asking, what exactly was that? What business?
Yeah, exactly. It was actually e-commerce back then. Yeah. So
Okay.
grew up in a
Wow.
small town called Buxton. So you can imagine a very rural town, lots of
Right.
pubs, lots of old
Right.
people there as well. And these pubs
Okay.
and bars, the old people like to drink a lot in England. So they were getting sent all this merchandise. They were sent T-shirts with Brewmania. So it would be like Budweiser T-shirts, bar cloths, signs. And me and a friend just knew this stuff's really cool. This stuff's really collectible. This stuff's really popular. But these old pubs, they just had no idea. So they collected years and years and years of this stuff because they were ordering so much, storing it just in the cellars, in the beer cellars. And there was no demand. There was no drinkers who'd go in there wanting, the hats and that kind of, that kind of vibe. When we just tapped into it and we saw, wow, there's a huge demand of free products that we can start selling. And just then it was even before, it was before Amazon, before eBay. And over here, there was a marketplace called QXL. And we were really some of the first sellers on QXL. And we even started our own e-commerce store as well. And just found and sold and hustled. And and that was really very, very much in the very early days of e-commerce. So there wasn't many customers out there, not many people shopping online at the time. But we were some of the first sellers, and I guess that then set the trajectory for the learning and just getting into web development, e-commerce, pay-per-click marketing, and other channels as well. So exciting journey.
Yeah, definitely. That is really exciting to have such an entrepreneurial spirit at such a young age, and then really to be able to have that foresight where you identified the problem, like you said, with those pubs and the merchandise, and said, "Wait a minute, we've got this. There's this platform, e-commerce, where these can be sold online," and then being able to kind of take that from vision to the reality and making it happen. So
Yeah, exactly.
very
I've certainly
impressive.
gone on to achieve some bigger things than that, but I think
Right.
it's hard to trump the leaving the paper round. So delivering papers,
Right.
being able to make enough money that I could earn a few days what I would have earned doing a whole week's of paper round was a great feeling.
Wow.
Leaving that job and going going independent, I guess was a great
Yeah,
feeling.
I'm sure it
Yeah.
was, and I know your parents were probably happy as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's awesome, and thank you for sharing that as well. As I mentioned at the top of the episode, today we're going to be talking all about Google Shopping, and so I want to start off with people that aren't really familiar with it, because there's all of these channels out here these days, all of these ways to market online. There may be people that aren't familiar with Google Shopping, so if you can kind of break it down and let us know what exactly is it and how does it work?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's the mainstay for e-commerce retailers to get in front of customers. So it's pretty much the number one channel. There's that and paid social such as Facebook and Instagram. And unlike Facebook or Instagram, which people might be more familiar with, those channels they're creating demand. You can show a product to somebody whilst they're scrolling on their Instagram feed and they discover that product. But often a lot of the times it's not going to be the right fit for them. They might scroll right past it. Whereas the great thing with Google is it's a step further. So people are actively typing in, searching for products that you sell. And at that point, a carousel will appear at the top of the main Google search results. It typically shows about 5 products. It's visual in nature, so you can see that a little product thumbnail, you can see the retailer's name, you can see the price, you can see a short description of the item, and it's free to show up. So it's free to get the impression, to be visible on the carousel. But as soon as you click on it, it costs the advertiser, the retailer, money. And that can be a few cents, or it can be even hundreds of dollars for a single click. And that's where our technology comes in to work out, to compute all the analytics that goes into, should it be 1 cent or $100 for that click? And that's really where the expertise comes. And unlike Amazon, it's not based on price. So on Amazon, you can win the buy box or the buy button by being the cheapest seller. On Google, it's not about price. It's about how much you're willing to pay Google. So it's what they call an auction, where you're outbidding the retailers. And the first left-hand side, if you're looking at the screen, the most left-hand side of those 5 items of that carousel is what we call the top impression. So that's the one that gets most of the clicks. We read left to right, and we see that position first. A lot of consumers and shoppers believe that that's the cheapest, the most reliable. They feel Google's done that work for them, but actually they've not. It's just the most expensive. So to win that spot, you've got to outbid the other advertisers to the right hand side by more than 1 cent. So it's a tricky channel in that respect. But if you get to the front of that carousel, or even visible on that carousel, you're right at the top of Google. People have got to scroll past you to pass that ads carousel. So the vast majority of clicks and massive amounts of traffic goes through Google Shopping. So it's a huge channel. It's the number one channel within Google search, within Google's advertising network for e-commerce products.
Okay, gotcha. So I can clearly see why, because when you're searching for any product name, you're going to see that, like you said, you're going to see that carousel really before anything. And so, I mean, it's really clear how popular that is and how powerful it is, rather, actually. Now, my question though, with Google Shopping, of course, it kind of works like their pay-per-click. You're paying not for the impression, but if there's a click through. Now, how does it actually work as far as when somebody clicks through, if they, let's say, okay, they identify a product, they go ahead and click on it. Is it all managed through Google's checkout process? And then is there some type of API that kind of goes to the merchants?
So actually, the traffic actually goes direct to the merchant's e-commerce store, and all the traffic has to go to the product details page. So that's the product page, which has an individual size, color, a single item. So that's actually, in a way, presents a challenge in itself. So unlike search ads or text ads, the written adverts, you can direct them to any part of your website. So you can have brand terms go to your homepage. You can have someone's typed in men's running shoes or men's running sneakers. You can direct that to a collection or a category page where you can show them all of the men's running sneakers. But the problem with this ads is that as soon as someone clicks, they're going through to a single product, and that's a single color, a single size on your own website. But that's a big challenge because we've seen about 80% of search terms are generic. They're not specific of a size, a color, a brand, a model. They're instead things like men's sneakers, or even if they're branded, maybe like Nike sneakers, still very generic. What type do they want? So sure, it's great that they've seen the price, they've seen an image, they've clicked on it. It's very high intent, but it's really challenging. So what we've done is we've built a part which is around the bidding. So how much should we pay for that click? So we're not paying too much and, getting to the front of the carousel, getting loads of clicks, but making a big loss. We're also not right at the back of the carousel, not showing up, not getting the impression, not getting the sales. So we get the visibility right, but we've also just released a landing page product. So that is a dedicated landing page built for Google Shopping, which loads instantly. So it loads in under a second, because there's a lot of great websites, but they're very slow. And that means that a lot of customers can make that click, wait for the page to load, And the stat is that if it's 5 seconds to load or more, about 90% is an increase in bounce rate. So it's a huge impact if that page is slow. So it's great that the traffic's going through to your website. What's not so great is you can't direct it to different parts of the website. It's going through to that product details page. And if that product details page is slow, you're going to lose a lot of traffic right back to Google.
Yeah, that makes sense. And thank you for that breakdown. Yeah, so I see how when you're using Google Shopping, it kind of makes the merchant be a little bit more, or actually a lot more specific and granular on their search terms. Because like you said, you're sending people directly to that particular product detail page. It has to be that specific item, that color, that size. It really seems like people that are clicking through here, they already had that mindset of exactly what they wanted. So let's say I'm looking to Nike cross training running shoes, something like that. Just an example.
Exactly,
I'm have that thought. I'm going to put that in there, or I'm going to so let's say do a general search on a term like that. If I see that in the carousel there, obviously I'm like, okay, that's the one for me, or that's close to the one that I'm looking for. And I'm gonna go there.
Yeah, exactly. So but when that loads, you realize, actually the ticker on that one is a bit bigger than I thought. Or actually it's not quite the one that I wanted. I wanted the vintage, but actually this is the retro style maybe. Or there's all these little nuances, and that or the laces are just not the right limited edition, for example. So all these little things that on a little thumbnail it can look just right, but when you've clicked, when you see it, you actually think, oh, it's not quite right. And one of the big
Right.
things we spotted, a real opportunity, is that what happens is that a lot of times people will go back. In that experience, you'd press the back button, you'd go back to Google, you'd be on the carousel, most likely you'll scroll along and select another item, maybe from the same retailer. Even if it is, they're still paying again, and that could be cents, or it could be hundreds of dollars for that click. And so, or they might lose you to a competitor. You could go to a different e-commerce store and make the purchase on another store. So what we've learned is that actually we use what we call a similarity index. So we're able to see, of the item they clicked on, do you have anything else which is really, really similar? Just like you would if you were in a physical store, you'd go to the wall, in the boot wall in the store, and you'd see that item, but they would have merchandised it, so that's on the wall, and next to it is all the other most similar items. Same color, same gender, same brands, all on that wall. And that's what we've done, is on the discovery landing pages, which we built just for the journey of Google Shopping, where we direct the traffic to. So headless landing page is built for Shopify. We're actually bringing above the fold. So on the mobile device, you see a carousel, which is the other most similar items. And whilst it might sound like a small thing, this is massive. It makes such a big impact, because where you click through, don't see the item you want, click back, now you immediately see 5 or 6 or more scrollable alternatives, which might just make you click in and keep shopping on the website that's already paid for your click.
Yeah. I can see how that's very powerful, because like you said, if you go there, you're not seeing what you wanted specifically. Yeah, your first hunch is just going to go click back, see what other products there on that carousel. But if you already have that there listed at that same, e-commerce retailer site, those other similar products, then, it's just a lot easier. It's right there, in your view there for you to just kind of click through and then start, perusing other products. And that kind of keeps you on that site. So 9 times out of 10, if they have something close, you're going to do some further examination, and you probably will end up buying from that retailer. So,
exactly. And it sounds obvious, but actually when we look at the traditional pathway of how we would imagine someone would shop an e-commerce store, we would imagine they've been to the homepage, they've got an understanding of the brand, maybe some of their USPs around shipping or free shipping policies or returns, maybe about the product categories they've got, which are maybe unique, some new items, some new styles. You then go into a collection or a category page, you shop the trainers, pick the item you want by looking at the product details page. And when you get to that part from the normal journey, they don't want to show you more sneakers that are very, very similar, because they assume that's the one you want. So instead, they would recommend, hey, here's some socks that would go with that. Here's something to complete the outfit. If that's running shoes, what about some running shorts? What about a running t-shirt or running cap? Makes complete sense to try and upsell, to expand your cart value, or even just to make you check out. But actually, when we imagine that from a Google shopping journey, when 80% they've typed in a generic search term, something which is non-specific, they've clicked on an item which looks similar to what they want, but is often, unfortunately, not the exact item they want, just because the image is small. They're not necessarily reading all the titles. When they click through, they want to see alternatives immediately, and not a pair of socks when they've typed in men's Nike running shoes. So really, it's about a different journey for traffic which is coming from Google Shopping, rather than the journey you would want to present if somebody had been through your website. So that's really what we're enabling with these dedicated landing pages for Google Shopping, as well as bringing that speed as well. So they're built for speed and optimized for conversion.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and I can see how how powerful all of this is. Now, it's you kind of nailed it. You already kind of touched on it, adding these other components to this product detail landing page, because it kind of makes the e-commerce retailers think a little bit differently about each of these product detail pages. Aside from adding other elements to it, like similar items and some of those things that you had mentioned, what would you say are some other tips on how to really create a truly compelling product listing page, for Google Shopping?
Yeah, so I'd say speed is number one, and that's something we can't see, so it's very often overlooked. But if you've got your product details page there, you can go for free to Google's Page Speed Insights, and you can put in your URL there, and it'll come back with a score out of 100 for both the mobile and for the desktop. So you can see it separately, so you can really get a feel of how slow you are or how fast you are. And the discovery pages we've built are 100 out of 100 for both mobile and desktop. So they load in under a second. So they're really, really fast. And that's something that's not visually, you can't visually see that. But when you inspect the code, you can really see that through the page speed insights. The second one is, as you say, the having the recommendation and where that's positioned. So for Google Shopping, having above the fold.
Okay, that sounds great. Now, aside from all of those tips of what you should do, it's always good to learn from, the mistakes of other companies. And I know you being in this space, you deal with a lot of companies that are doing, utilizing Google Shopping that may either be your clients or clients that you're just familiar with or companies you're familiar with. And I'm sure you see kind of a lot of wrong things. So I wanted to see, what are some common mistakes that you see businesses make when they start using Google Shopping, and how can these things be avoided?
Yeah, absolutely. So I suppose one of the mistakes we do see is advertisers and retailers who don't really know their cost prices. So so our technology bids at an individual product SKU level, and that enables us to bring in things such as the cost price, so we can understand the profit of an item. So you might have two items that are both $100, but one might have been $200 before it's been put on sale. There's very little profit left in it, maybe only 10%. Whereas the other one is new season stock, and it could be at 70% margin, for example. So whilst they transact through both $100 orders, one is making only $10 and one's making $70. So we really need to bring in that understanding. So sometimes retailers and advertisers can get a bit confused. They can group a lot of put an average. Well, on average, it's 20%, 30% that we make. Whereas actually you need to be really specific. You need to be able to understand the item prices and the margins, because if a product's 70%, you can afford to pay more for that click to Google. And by paying more, it's going to move your advert along the carousel towards the front. And the top position, that front position on the carousel, gets around 60 to 65% of all the clicks. So it's really important to try and get your ad to the front, but you can only do that if it's going to be profitable. So you need to bring in the profit margins. It's also getting really competitive on Google. So the second component can be around understanding your customer's lifetime value. So are you selling a product like a sofa, or someone's going to buy it, or big armchair? Someone's going to buy this. They're not going to buy one anytime soon. It's going to be years between purchases. Or are you selling a replenishable product like a protein bar, which someone's going to consume? They're going to reorder. They're going to be doing it frequently, and that one order is going to generate a lot of revenue over the customer's lifetime. So it's being able to understand the lifetime value of different products, replenishable products, non-replenishable products, and factor that into how much you should pay to get a customer who's going to have a probability to buy that product again. And so they're kind of some of the areas around the metrics. And the other part is understanding what we call purchase intent. So not all search terms or clicks have the same revenue per click or profit per click. So maybe someone who's just typed in sneakers, very unlikely to go, or red dress, very unlikely to go and click from there and make a purchase. It'll happen, but it's pretty low probability. And the revenue from that click is going to be much lower. And so is the profit. Instead, if someone's typed in, Nike, Ultra Boost, size 10, men's running shoes, this is so detailed. They have done the research. Maybe they've copy pasted it from another website, put it into Google to see if they can get it cheaper or quicker or on discount, and they're coming through and they're so likely to buy. So understanding the search terms, the search queries, and their customers' probability to make that purchase is really, really important as well. So you can avoid paying too much for awareness generic clicks, and you can really hone in and dominate that carousel and that top position, that top impression on the shopping carousel when it's really high revenue per click, when it's high profit per click, when you're likely to be getting customers. So there's some of the really key things to understand your economics, and then to apply them at a very granular level on a product and search term level.
Yeah, I totally understand that. And I can see how a lot of businesses could make the mistake. These days, business owners, especially e-commerce business owners, have their hands full. They're doing a million things. They're trying to juggle a million responsibilities. So, or whoever is managing their digital marketing. So, the initial tendency could be to just get out on these platforms and, the set it and forget it type of mentality, where you get out there, maybe you upload your product feed, you set a blanket click amount across all of them, and you're just like, okay, let's see, is this going to work? But from what you're saying is that you can't do that. You really have to understand the breakdown, the metrics, the profit margin of each individual product, because if you make those small adjustments, because let's say the profit is a little bit more on a certain product, you can bid a little bit higher, and that's going to push you up further in the rankings and the carousel, and you get you some better results. So I see you really do have to be on top of it, down to the product level, and you have to understand your profit margins and those metrics to really be successful with this.
Yeah, that's absolutely it. And also, it's a risk. If you don't, you could be paying too much. It might be that you're not getting the revenue, you're not getting the sales, but equally, if you just increase your bids, get that visibility, get the sales, you're busy working. And this is a real risk for e-commerce businesses, because it's not always as obvious as it sounds. Oh, well, of course, you've got to be pretty silly to be paying too much for the orders, but maybe it all looks great until you get the returns, until you start processing, people sending back for exchanging different sizes, returning, getting refunds, and then it starts to unravel. And sometimes that can be weeks later. And if you've got really pushed up that volume, then that can be pretty scary times, particularly if you've invested your budget, hoping on a frequency and a recency of customers coming back to buy and buy again, that may not happen as well. And that's often the sad thing we hear about some of the really, what were very successful e-commerce businesses got a lot of funding, and then it started to unravel because they didn't really zone in on this granularity that they need to understand the real success or failure of the campaigns.
Yeah, for sure. No, that happens a lot. Well, Liam, as we get ready to wrap things up, I wanted to see if you could share and identify some success stories, with businesses where businesses have significantly improved their ROI with the help of Google Shopping. Maybe these are clients of yours or just any companies that you're familiar with in general that have had success.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're really proud. There's over 50 case studies on our website. They reference the brands, they reference the results, the time periods that was achieved in, on what products and services it was that they've used, and even the individuals, the pay-per-click or the head of e-commerce, their names and their quotes as well. So we're really, really transparent, and that's really important, because I could reel off some stories, and I absolutely will do, but maybe they're not in the listeners' industries. We've got people in fashion, we've got in accessories, we've got health and beauty, we've got food and drink. So definitely check out the case studies there, because there's so much rich experiences of entrepreneurs. But I think that's the most exciting part about this, is whilst we are a technology business, we're able to utilize very large amounts of data for AI and machine learning. What really excites me is meeting the entrepreneurs and hearing their stories. So some of the ones I've been fortunate enough to see myself have been Lounge Underwear. So a very large retailer here in the activewear, so leggings, other lingerie as well. They've had a huge success. So that's been really exciting, seeing their journey scaling and growing month after month, year after year, and really becoming one of the fastest growing businesses in the UK. Also Chili's bottles, so they've scaled up and even went on to sponsor Glastonbury. But amazing success stories, and there's just so many that it's some of the other ones can be just small retailers who started off just a couple of founders. They've had their passion there, and we've just been able to support them and really see them grow and become multi-million-dollar businesses. So yeah, it's a whole raft of different success stories across all the different industries, but it's all connected by the thread, which is the passion of those founders to find great products, to focus on that area. And I think that's what can get lost of digital marketing. We obviously all love it, the little dials, the little 1% gains we can get by turning so many different levers to unlock massive growth potential. But actually, for the e-commerce entrepreneurs, it's their passion, their ability to find great products, to build great brands, which is truly inspiring to see.
Okay, great. Well, yeah, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing those. And I'll definitely encourage listeners and viewers to check out your website and those 50 or so odd case studies that probably cover, I'm sure, a whole gamut of different industries and, in different industry niches as well. So thanks a lot. Well, it's been awesome talking to you, Liam. I've definitely learned a lot about Google Shopping. I'm familiar with it, but didn't know a lot about the granularity and the details of it. Like you said, it's something that probably anybody that searches for products on Google has probably had some type of encounter with it, may not know what it actually was, but I can see how powerful it is now. And I definitely encourage, all businesses to, consider it if they've got an online store. consider it, and also consider, we're taking a look at what you guys have to offer so that you can possibly optimize their presence on Google Shopping, which I know is a key thing. This has definitely been a great conversation. But lastly, before we do let you go, I always like to switch gears just so our audience can get to know you a little bit better. So if you don't mind sharing one closing fun fact about yourself that you think we'd be interested to know.
Yeah, absolutely. So a fun fact, I guess, is that I'm getting into squash. So after this interview, I'm going to head off and join on the squash courts, which is maybe a bit of an English sport, but it's a fun game. So I think you guys have the pickleball over there, right? Which is pretty big.
I actually just started playing pickleball myself. Yeah, how does it compare? I've heard of squash, but I'm trying to visualize it. What's the difference?
Yeah, so it's a bit different. So it's so both racket sports, but squash is actually played where there's 3 walls that are enclosed, and your opponent are standing next to each other, and you just volley it off the walls and keep the rallies going and going. So it's pretty intense sport. There'll be a lot of sweat. The courts will get pretty hot. Won't be a pretty sight after that, but it's good fun and a good way to stay healthy.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it reminds me, here in the U.S. we have racquetball. I guess that's similar to it. Yeah. It's like a rubber ball. Then you're in an enclosed court. I guess it's about 3 walls, including the back. Well, there's the back wall as well. So it sounds really similar to racquetball.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Yeah, it's always good, like you said, to especially if you're in the online space and you're in the computer all day, you got to have some type of outlet that's totally different.
Yeah.
To kind of keep you active and keep you going.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you for sharing that, Liam. Appreciate that. But lastly, before we do let you go, if you don't mind sharing the best way for our listeners and viewers to get in touch with you, if they'd like to pick your brain any more about Google Shopping.
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of Google Shopping, you could head over to Bidnamic, Bidnamic.com. That's where the 50 plus case studies are there. There's loads of ways to enrich content to read about, to learn, to understand videos on there as well. And you can also book a call in there with myself or one of the team. Or equally, if you'd like to reach out directly to myself, I'm on LinkedIn, which is Liam Patterson, Bidnamic.
Okay, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. We'll definitely have the direct link to your website in our show notes. Definitely encourage people to check out your website, as well as if they want to get in touch with you directly, they can look you up on LinkedIn, and I'm sure you'd be glad to conversate with them and help them on their e-commerce journeys.
Absolutely, yeah, for sure.
Well, like I said, this has been an awesome conversation, Liam. I really appreciate you coming on, and thank you for joining us today on the Ecommerce Marketing Podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for listening to the Ecommerce Marketing Podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode, be sure to rate, review, subscribe, and share it with everyone you know. Are you looking to take your digital marketing to the next level, but are tired of weeding through countless YouTube videos with unproven and untrusted marketing strategies? Well, we have the answer for you. The More Sales Every Month online digital marketing course. In this information-packed course, you will learn effective keyword research, link building, content marketing, and much more to attract and convert your site visitors into paying customers. Just go to moresaleseverymonth.com and sign up today for a low one-time fee. In addition to this power-packed course, if you would like to get access to a growing repository of digital marketing articles, PDFs, and ebooks, check out getosi.com/resources and opt in to get full access to our library of priceless marketing information to help you take your digital marketing to the next level.